Today we're going to talk about a city that was completely wiped out in a single day. A little girl kept telling her brother, "Save me," and the very next moment, she was buried right there.
A few streets away, a father couldn't save his son, and right in front of him, his son lost his life.
Hey friends, I'm standing right now in the year 79 in a street of Pompeii. Somewhere nearby, the smell of baking bread is drifting through the air. A donkey is slowly turning in circles close by, working a mill. The owner of the shop across the way is just now opening his door, and he nods at me when he sees me. I don't know it, but I only have 9 hours left. Today, I'm not just going to tell you about Pompeii, I'm going to take you there, capture everything I see on camera. And in the end, I'll be trapped right there myself, exactly the way 20,000 people got trapped that day. People who had no idea that by afternoon their entire world would be buried under ash. What's astonishing is that even after the city was destroyed, researchers found every single thing beneath the soil in that exact same state. Come on, the morning has just begun. Right now I'm standing in front of a bakery's oven. A wave of heat is hitting me straight in the face. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. The sun is still 2 hours from rising, and yet there's so much activity here. It feels like the day started long ago. Now I turn the camera toward the baker. Look, he's kneading dough, with no idea that I'm standing here filming him. His hands are carving the same pattern into every loaf, a signature that's been his for centuries. I zoom in. He's putting each loaf into the oven, one by one, thinking they'll all be sold by noon. I know these loaves will never be sold. I know that in this very oven, in this very spot, one of these loaves will be found exactly as it is. 19 centuries later, black, hard, untouched. But right now, in this moment, I can only watch and film. I can't tell anyone anything. Let me mention this as I walk around. 30 to 40% of this city's population is enslaved. These are the hands that light the fires, that carry the water, while the rest of the city is still asleep. I walk past them with my camera, and no one even turns to look at me. It's now 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking down a street that's fully awake. I lower the camera. Look at these stones. This isn't just a path. This is the entire drainage system of the city. Moving forward, I step onto these large stepping stones, built at just the right height so a cart's wheels can pass between them, so I don't have to step in whatever's flowing below. I pause for a moment and think, this isn't a sign of some crude, primitive age. This is straightforward, intelligent engineering. Look, here's a barber, sitting on his stool by the roadside, trimming someone's beard. With no wall or enclosure, right in the middle of the crowd. Next to him is a thermopolium. Think of it as Pompeii's fast food counter. I stop there, point the camera at the hot pots. Duck, pork, fish, snails. I laugh, thinking that even 2,000 years ago, people had their own likes and dislikes about lunch. Now I stop in front of a wall. I bring the camera close. Look, it's covered in writing. Slogans, taunts, love poems. Read this. A man named Successus wrote that he's in love with a barmaid named Iris.
Right below, someone else has written a reply saying Iris doesn't care about him at all. And below that, Successus's defense.
I'm smiling as I read this. It doesn't feel 2,000 years old. It feels like it was written yesterday. The people around me aren't ancient humans. They're just human, exactly like us. Now I'm heading toward the center of the city, to the Forum, and today there's especially a lot of activity here. Elections are near, and as I turn the camera, I show these walls, every single one covered with slogans, telling me this year's contest isn't going to be easy.
A priest is performing morning rituals on the temple steps.
I stop for a moment and film. Here, religion isn't separate. It's part of the very breath of the whole city. Now I'm heading behind the theater, toward the gladiator barracks. Inside, a practice session is underway. I thought this would be some frightening, helpless sight, but no. These fighters are professional athletes. They have contracts, fans, their names written on the walls.
Their technical mistakes are being corrected, the repetitive, tiring, unglamorous work, hidden behind every spectacle.
I know, though they don't, that this is their last practice session. Now I'm heading toward the northern part of the city. Entering a villa, and suddenly everything goes quiet. I slowly turn the camera. A courtyard, a pool open to the sky, gardens painted on the walls.
On a dressing table sit small mirrors, hairpins, perfume bottles. I film these up close,
thinking about how old the desire to groom oneself really is. I lower the camera at the doorway. Look, set into the mosaic are 4 words: beware of the dog. I pause for a moment. This warning will there centuries later, at the threshold of a house that won't even have a roof left. Now I move toward the harbor, and the sharp smell of salt, fish, and garum reaches my nostrils.
I show wine jars, oil containers, boats loaded with goods on camera. Trade is moving at full speed, exactly as it does every other morning.
This morning, everything is running perfectly. Tomorrow it won't. I know it, but I can't say anything. I'm standing near a fountain. I point the camera at it and look. It's dry.
A woman is walking back with her empty jar, saying maybe there's some problem with the aqueduct. Someone will fix it.
I want to tell her. I want to scream. But I can only film. Now I pass by a stable. I point the camera inside. The horses aren't eating their feed.
A dog is refusing to go in. I lift the camera up. It's about 11 o'clock, and every bird sitting on the forum's pillars flies off all at once.
Straight away from the mountain. I've caught this shot, look. The ground is shaking. Small tremors, growing since morning. People standing nearby are telling each other, this is like 62 again. It'll pass. I know it won't pass. I want to scream and tell them, but my voice doesn't reach that far. Around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I point the camera toward the sky, and it changes.
One moment the mountain looks exactly as it always has, and the next moment the peak splits open.
A column rises into the sky right before my eyes, so fast I can't even properly focus, and within minutes it spreads 20 kilometers up. Around me, people stop, look up. No one can understand what this is. I know. This is something they have no word for. Then the first stone falls on my shoulder. Light, small, pumice. Then another. The camera is shaking now. Within a while, it starts falling like gray hail, piling up nearly 15 centimeters every hour.
Around me, people start running. Some wrap cloth over their heads and then rush toward the gates.
Some go inside to hide their valuables, thinking they'll come back for them later. This window, this last chance to escape, is closing very quickly. The pumice reaches my knees, then my waist. Roofs start creaking under its weight. And then, And then darkness, total darkness, so complete that the torch in my hand lights only a small circle around itself. And beyond that, even the camera shows nothing.
Around me, people start running. The survivors around me are all making the same decision. A house with thick walls is better than wandering in this darkness. I'm inside a house. I slowly turn the camera.
A little girl kept telling her brother, "Save me," and the very next moment, she was buried right there.
A few streets away, a father couldn't save his son, and right in front of him, his son lost his life.
I don't know their names. I only know that they made every decision that seemed right, finding strong walls, closing windows, keeping the children calm.
And I know that for what's coming next, they have no words, no preparation.
Part of me wants to turn the camera off here. But I hold on.
After midnight, I watch. That column, which had held for hours,
and when it falls, I know there's no way out left. A pyroclastic surge, a superheated wall of gas, ash, and rock fragments, moving at 700 kilometers per hour.
at temperatures between 400 and 700 degrees.
There's no hiding from this. There's no outrunning this. It arrives faster than sound! Around 6:30 in the morning, this fourth and final surge reaches Pompeii.
Those who had taken shelter in the strongest walls are killed by its wave of heat, even before the cloud itself reaches their walls. And then, silence. A silence that will last for 1700 years.
Now I'm standing 19 centuries later in the same city. Everything beneath the ground is still exactly the same. The camera is on. I'm walking through here again. Now it's been excavated. The ash sealed everything. Wood survived. Cloth survived. Food survived. I point the camera at the walls. Look at these paintings, so vivid in color. It looks like they were just painted. Let me tell you, in the 1860s, an archaeologist named Giuseppe finds hollow spaces inside the ash and pours liquid plaster into them.
When the rock is carefully removed, what emerges isn't a skeleton. It's a person, frozen mid-motion. The folds of their clothing are clear. And sometimes even an expression on the face can still be read.
I go back to the same bakery where I started my morning. The oven is still there. I bring the camera close. And inside it, the same loaf of bread, black, hard, with the same pattern the baker carved before sunrise.
Between the hand that made this bread and the glass case in the Naples Museum where it now sits,
there are 2,000 years, and yet it feels to me like there's no distance at all.
I sit down in front of the camera. For nearly 2 centuries, the world believed all this happened on August 24th, based on the letters of Pliny the Younger. But Pliny's original letter no longer exists. The copies that survive were made centuries later, and they don't even agree with each other on the date. Then the evidence itself began to speak. The victims' clothing was too heavy for August heat. The food found in the houses wasn't summer food, it was autumn food.
And in 2018, an inscription written in charcoal was found on a wall, dated around October.
Charcoal fades quickly, meaning this writing must have been made just days before the eruption. Today, most researchers believe this all happened not in August, but in October, perhaps around October 24th. Think about it. The morning I was standing in wasn't a summer morning, it was probably a cool autumn morning. 19 centuries later, this city is still telling us we were wrong. I turn the camera toward the mountain one last time. Vesuvius is still there today. It has erupted more than 50 times since the year 79, and today 3 million people live in its shadow. Scientists watch it around the clock. but even they can't tell us when it will erupt next. And yet people still live there because the soil is unmatched, because it's their home, because the thought that the danger is real, but maybe not in my lifetime, mostly turns out to be true. Pompeii isn't just the story of a volcano, it's a mirror. I turn the camera toward myself. If you felt like you were really there with me, if for a few minutes these people felt less like ancient history and more like neighbors, then please subscribe to my channel.